Have you been struggling to figure out how to build a strong prepper community?
Well, today we interviewed with Jim and Janet Harry. They are delightful and they have made great strides in preparing a network, a neighborhood, a community that will really be able to take care of each other now as well as when disaster strikes.
We hope you'll stay tuned because I think they will inspire all of us to do a better job and give us some ideas to push us forward. Hey, Provident Preppers, I'm Jonathan.
And I'm Kylene, and we are thrilled because we have Jim and Janet Harry with us today, and they have done some spectacular things. Why don't you guys take a minute and just introduce yourselves before we get started?
Well, I'm Jim, and of course, Janet, and we are very engaged in preparedness in our area. We've been doing this for, well, probably since about 1980. Mm-hmm. We were in the Air Force. I was in the military at the time up in Montana, and we had some very good friends who had us come over from time to time. We'd have dinner with them and what have you. They had a bunch of kids, and come to find out that they were members of the church that we now belong to. And they had this really cool setup in their basement of all this food storage and different things to be prepared. And we kind of looked at it and said, hey, you know what? This is a really great idea. And so ever since then, we've kind of done the same thing. And just so you know, when the time came, back then we had somebody that was a member of our church who signed for a whole truckload of wheat and rice and beans and all the old, the old way of doing storage. And I wanted to carefully consider how much we should do. And I thought $100 should be just about right. That was 1980. And felt very inspired that we should do $400, which told me inspiration says 4 times more important than you think it is. So that was kind of our introduction to the whole thing. But yeah, we've been involved in so many preparedness things. When we moved into the area that we're now in, we started a couple of preparedness fairs at church and had all kinds of different activities and what have you. The biggest challenge has been getting people engaged and wanting to even think about it. I think people are just scared and, they kind of want to go and stick their head in the sand or something. I don't know. It seems like people now have to learn not to just run away from problems. They have to meet them head on. It's the only way you're ever going to get past them. And we are way far from perfect in our preparedness, that's for sure. But
I think, Jim, you made a really good point here about people. They either don't want to think about it at all, or if they do think about it, it's, well, I'll deal with that later. It's not comfortable thinking about hard times and challenges and these kinds of things.
Right.
But dealing with it in the heat of the moment is not a good way to to have successful outcomes. So you make a very, very good point there.
I think that there's just so many distractions in people's lives right now. We're getting pulled in so many different ways. There's a lot of chaos and uncertainty and things like that going on around everybody. But I think people are starting to wake up, and that's our hope is people, start waking up and becoming more interested and more prepared for whatever might be down the road for us.
Now, let's talk a little bit more about what you two are doing, because Jim, you have created this amazing little website. It's jjprep.org. And when I went to look at it, this is not a for-profit thing that he's doing. He's taken the initiative to make a difference in his little community. So talk to us about that. And especially with the focus or with the lens that maybe somebody else could follow the pattern that you have set.
I've always kind of wanted to have some kind of a website, and finally went on to Google Sites and decided that, okay, I'm going to learn how to do this. And it wasn't too difficult. The information that's on there is kind of an accumulation of a lot of years of either study or learning or things that we've considered. I tried to put the information in there in kind of a sequence of what's most important, even though every item in there is important. I've tried to rely a lot on reputable websites, experts, if you will, in different areas and extracting information that they may have or may want to get out there. And I put that in our website. So
The whole purpose of that website is just to share. We've been blessed really, to have the opportunity to learn as we go. And we just want to share that, whatever knowledge we have, any experiences we have to help other people wherever we can.
yeah.
That's our goal.
And one of the things that I do is locally, we have a monthly Zoom call. And I put that out to church members locally. And unfortunately, we don't get the kind of attendance that I'd like, but it's recorded and it goes on to a YouTube site where they can actually watch it. It's whatever their convenience is. The thing that I've been trying to do, though, is having put this website together, trying to use that Zoom call to go through the website so people can become educated, familiar with the website, so they can go and any kind of questions that they have. If the answers aren't there, I put my email in there and they can send me an email. We can find an answer. We can go over and help them. We can do whatever. That's kind of been the whole crux of the idea there. I also send out what we call these preparedness blurbs. Then I send that out to probably about 700 people.
And we've noticed we've been getting more responses now too.
Yeah.
Just lately, the last couple of months with the website and the blurb and everything, more people are, I think, more comfortable, shooting us a question or an email or something.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
guys are in Sacramento, right?
Yeah.
Which is typically actually a really nice place to live.
Yep.
But you guys had some pretty intense weather there.
Yeah,
So
very unusual. Very
Tell me a
unusual.
little bit about the storm. And you sent me an email showing some of the things that you learned. And I think those would be really important for
Sure.
our viewers to know. Like,
Okay.
you took a situation, you were mostly prepared, and then you learned stuff, and now you're better prepared.
Well, the storm was, we had pretty close to 70-mile-an-hour winds here, which is, Sacramento in general is referred to as the city of trees. Well, right now it's the city of fewer trees because there's been a lot of down trees, and it was pretty nerve-wracking. Our poor little pup, she was just going nuts, didn't know what to do. We have a swimming pool out back that we're watching fill up, and it's too windy to go out and try to do anything about it. But I do have a sump pump in there that I've been able to pump it down. The power outages were really bad. We live in an area where I think we're kind of on a higher priority to get power back, because we were only gone out for a couple hours ourselves. Going into it, we didn't know how long it was going to be. We live in an area where we're probably about a mile or a mile and a half away from a police department, a fire department, and a big hospital. So I think this area becomes a priority to get power back up. We live just 5 doors down from our daughter, her husband, and we try to have Sunday dinner together every Sunday. We have a son and his wife, and their boys are not too far away as well. But these guys come down, and well, that night, Janet had some brownies in the oven, and little did I know that gas range requires electricity to operate. And it's like, oh man, that's the reason I bought the gas.
They had their flashlights. We had the candles going,
Yeah.
It was a different scenario than what we usually have on a Sunday dinner.
Then cooking dinner was the challenge.
But it was also rewarding. It was a good opportunity to talk with the kids and the grandkids about other people. We were thinking of who we could contact and make sure they were okay, what was going on, how we were prepared, and what we could do the next time.
So as dinner was gonna go, I had some chicken breasts, and I was gonna grill some chicken breasts. And with all the windows going on, one thing about me is I have
Multiple.
For some people might say way too many grills and barbecues and smokers and stuff, right? But it's one of those passions that I have, and it's a lot of fun. And so I thought, well, this wind, I don't need charcoal burning and flying all over the place. Now that's out. The pellet grill, it's raining, so no, I don't want to use that as electric. It's got the hopper is electrical. So I thought, I got my Weber gas grill. I am in good shape. So I went over and I fired it up, had the lid closed for a little bit, went back out with the food and opened it up. And it's like, I don't understand where the flames went. So I quickly turned off all the knobs and thought, oh, I wonder if the wind blew it out. And it literally did. The wind blew it out. And had I not been there to monitor that, every time I'd open the grill, the wind would blow out. That's how strong the wind was. It's not easy to blow out a gas grill. And that's 4 burners. So it could have been, really dangerous had I not been there to monitor. So I am sure looked like a drowned rat at the end of all of this, going in and out, in and out, in and out. And I think that's the biggest challenge that we always have during any kind of a disaster, if you want to call it a disaster, or just a challenge like that, is we become, I would say confused, but anxious. We become really anxious about, okay, what do I have to do? And so that is why I always try to stress to people, have a plan.
I really think that's a good thing, because we do have different plans for different scenarios, but it's good to review them and to tweak them sometimes. The storm that came upon us caught a lot of people off guard.
Well, one of the things that I think is really important is, as you prepare, you need to know how things work before you actually need them.
The other thing about this storm, we have neighbors right across the street who's on dialysis and things like that. And, just to be able to check on them, make sure they were okay. Our daughter-in-law's parents live right next door to her. They're 4 houses down from us. And, she doesn't get out much, and she's pretty much confined to the home too. And when you were able to check on them and end up taking some of the dinner down to them that night, things like that. So it's nice to be able to still be able to check on people and communicate with people around us.
Yeah.
That was huge.
Yeah, the communication is such a big part of this whole thing. We're really into the food storage aspect of things too, because we actually have 2 harvest right food freeze dryers, and then Janet does all kinds of canning. In fact, we just broke out some peaches that she did in 2022, and they are so good.
We like the gardening and the canning and the prepping. It's a lifestyle for us, but it's also it's a hobby. But the more we can share our passion with other people, the happier we are.
Well, and that's the thing about these 2 freeze dryers that we have. We freeze dry a lot of leftovers, and then we'll go pick up things and freeze dry. Well, we've been storing food and rotating through it for a long time, and we probably have more food than we could ever eat ourselves in our entire life. And so that's not the point. The point we make is we want to make sure that if there's a disaster, we can provide food for neighbors, friends, whoever, because I think that's what is expected of us. I think it's the right thing to do. A lot of people want to hunker down and it's me, me, me. Well, no, I think it's important that we become a stronger community. And through a community, you become much safer, I think. So I think it's important that with all the things that we do, that we're able to share some things too. And
I'm glad you mentioned that, because as you know, we are big fans of community, and what you're doing is building your community through your website, your YouTube channel, your efforts to reach out to others. You are building community, and that's, to me, probably the biggest piece of all this, is that we're working together. We're building strong communities. We're working with people that can help each other. We all have skills and abilities. We all have struggles, and we can help each other through the struggles because we have this huge group of people with a broad and diverse set of skills and experiences. And I think about my mother, who's 87, and she's not physically able to do a lot of things, but she's got so much experience and so much wisdom, having lived through, part of the Depression and really hard times. She's got a lot of perspective, and she's got a lot of abilities. So everybody has things to contribute, and you are helping to emphasize that.
Well, there's definitely strength in numbers. And I just feel that the more educated we are, the more we're able to share experiences and strengths and skills. I think that's what's really important.
And I think you hit it on the head there, Jonathan. First of all, morally, I don't think we can neglect our elderly people just to make sure and help them. But there is so much wisdom in the elderly community.
And, part of it is trying to encourage our young people, to get involved and to learn some of these skills that are, basically being forgotten. There's a lot of forgotten skills now that are just going by the wayside, but I think there's a lot of value in getting our young people, young adults involved in helping and in learning and building their community.
And as we work together, I mean, whether it's bottling peaches or picking something out of the orchard or learning how to repair a car or whatever, we're teaching skills, but we're building those relationships. We're strengthening ties. And that time that we have spent means that there's something there when tough times happen, or as we have personal needs in our lives, we've got those relationships, we've got those anchors. And I think that is super important. And we were talking a little bit earlier, both of us are members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, which is a fantastic resource when it comes to food storage and preparing and self-reliance. If you go to churchofjesuschrist.org, you can find all kinds of information on being self-reliant and on food storage. They also have home storage centers throughout the United States where you can go and you can purchase basic foods, just like wheat and oats, and their potato flakes are amazing.
Yes.
But in number 10 cans, and you can also buy them online. They're a little bit more expensive online, but it's a great way to stock up on your basics because it's inexpensive. The only way you can do it less expensive is to package it yourself. So we're huge fans of that. But regardless of what church you may be a member of or organization, that's a great place to start when it comes to building community.
And, when it comes to the disabled residents, and this is actually a job over there, we have to take into account if there's a big problem, disaster, whatever, what's going to happen to those people. Now, most of them have family that they can go to. Some do not. And some of the family is quite a ways away. So we want to make sure that they are taken care of. And we actually have a pretty good supply of food for them over there.
But, they're from 18. Our youngest is 22 right now, up to 62. Yeah. So it's a wide range of ages that we have. High functioning, but even during this storm, I got calls, Janet, what do we do if the power goes out? How are we going to get a hold of you? And a lot of times in my house meetings with them, we go over preparedness. Do they have their flashlights? Are their cell phones charged up? Things like that. What would they do, if the power was out for a long time? So
Very
all
good.
about educating.
I shared with you that while I was out fighting the storm with the grill, I was thinking of a hymn, Master the Tempest is Raging. The words in Master the Tempest is Raging was so important because it relates to the story where the apostles and the Savior were out on a ship and the storm was tossing them around. And yet here was the Savior just kind of sleeping and they're, hey, what's Savior? What are we doing? And so he calmed the seas. And so I'm out there at the grill, and I mean, it's all I could do to stand there. And I'm looking around, and the rain is just pelting me. And I thought, oh, Master, the tempest is raging right now. And so it was just a kind of a unique moment, I guess, to be able to experience that and to draw back on something that spiritually is important to me. I think it's important, too, to realize that it's not just winds and rain that are a tempest. Right now, I think the adversary is creating a tempest in so many different circles, whether it's economics, political, or divisiveness and, all kinds of different things. There are tempests all around us,
There
and
are.
we have to recognize that and rely on the Savior to help get us through and build those communities.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you for joining us today. You guys are doing wonderful things. I think it's a good example of all of us working together. None of us are perfect in our preps, but as we work and we reach out and we love in our communities and build those relationships and do what we can, man, we're going to be okay. We're going to all be okay together.
Yeah,
So
we
thank
are.
you so much, both of you, for taking time today to spend with us. We appreciate that.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. And now
All
for
right.
our audience, we all go through challenges in life. Can you tell us of some challenges that you faced and what you learned as a result? Because that is the important part, is what we learn and how we grow. So share with us. And thanks for being part of the solution.